Oh,
Okay,
yeah, I've already
got
tweaked
this.
things.
You've already tweaked things, but you
Yeah.
don't take notes or anything. It's just like, okay, I'm listening, internalizing, go.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So tell me about your signal chain. Are you going out of the box? What does mastering look like to you?
Yeah, so it's a bit of both. Most projects I'm working hybrid. Usually I'm hitting a plugin or two before I go out of the box. FabFilter Pro Q3 is one of them. And then I'm always using that. If I'm doing that first, it's always for either fixing a surgical EQ problem, something with a tight Q or something, dynamic notching, that kind of thing. I've even done dynamic shelving in mid-side mode as well for some things. Like let's say I got some cymbals that are really harsh on the sides. So dynamic shelf there is nice. So I'm trying to correct any errors before I go out of the box.
Do you do this in like a linear phase kind of mode, or are you doing this like just regular?
Either or, linear phase or natural phase. I'll flip between the two and see which sounds best for the project. Recently I've been doing just a lot of natural phase on there. So it's been working.
Cool.
So yeah, I'll go from the EQ, I'll go into DMG Essence in mid mode if it needs it. Sometimes it doesn't. And then sometimes I'll do some saturation in the box as well, because I currently don't have an outboard saturation unit, but that'll change soon. So,
Nice.
but yeah, so from there I'll just I'll go into my outboard then for my converters, and I got a first thing in the chain is a Veramu compressor by HCL. For those who don't know, it's a pretty popular compressor, but it's an all-tube signal path. So it's got a lot of harmonics going on. It's got a really nice hi-fi sheen to it. It sounds great doing no compression at all. Just if you want color, put it in the chain and bam, you got that.
Yeah, Veramus are nice.
Yeah. Depending on which one you use, too, they can be anything from subtle to super heavily colored. Like the Manley Veramu is pretty colored.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, yeah, from there, from the Veramu, I'll go to a parametric EQ, also by HCL. It's a Thermos Revision 3. And it's a Barry Porter style EQ, so it's pretty clean sounding, but it's really musical and sweet, too. There's not too many tools I've used in the box that sound as good for 40 hertz boost. So if I need like some more bottom end, which is common too, you got a lot of people mixing on small speakers, they can't hear that low or accurately that low.
Right.
So I get a lot of mixes that need help in the bottom end. And then that is always in mid-side as well. I love mid-side. Like I said before, I only have a stereo file to work with. So I don't want to affect the entire stereo image if my issues are only in the mid or only in the side information.
Nice.
And the Veramu is the same way. Recently, I think 95% of the projects I've worked on since I've got it have been in mid-side as well. So yeah, I'll do some rebalancing and whatnot with that. Like maybe the snare needs some heft, the kick. I can make the songs seem wider and fuller by doing some EQ on the side channel. Like maybe I want some more low mids on the side and some 16K on the sides as well. Kind of just depends on the song. And then from that EQ, next in line I have a stereo Pultec, which doesn't get used super often. Sometimes just when it's needed. The mid-range and the highs on that can be really nice for the, depending on the project. So I have another EQ after that. I know it sounds crazy. I got lots of EQs.
Sounds like a mastering engineer.
Yeah. But they all do different stuff. So the next one's a Mag clone. For those familiar with the Mag EQ.
Right.
And this is
I don't know if they pronounce the Mag or Mog. I just know that
sure.
Dave Pensato pronounced it Mog on his show, but
oh, yeah?
I've never used one.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
It could be. So yeah, it's a stereo version of it. It instead of having two sets of controls, you just have the one for the stereo range. And And for those who haven't used the Mag or the Mog, whichever one it is, it's super broad Q bells. So, if like I want, 160 hertz on here, for example, like that's reaching way down past 100 hertz and then way into like 300 and 400 hertz as well. Like they're really broad bells. And I like.
So it's kind of like if you want to change your whole spectral.
Correct.
image.
Yeah. Like if I feel like the whole mix itself is maybe lacking mid-range, low mids, I can just do a click or two of that and just bring up all the information in that area. And it's also really clean too. And then the secret weapon of mine is the 2.5K shelf, which seems really odd. And, there's mixes it doesn't work on because it can get hard sounding. Kind of like it can be harsh if the mix is already kind of harsh anyways. But I almost use it like a tilt filter. So, if the vocals need to come up, that's a great tool. If the whole mix maybe seems like it could be brighter, I'll just do like a half dB on the 2.5K shelf, and that almost always fixes it.
Wow.
And then
that probably helps things get louder also, because if you have
correct,
to boost like that mid-range area.
Correct, yeah.
Right?
Because a lot of the loudness that people perceive is all in the mid-range.
Right.
And then the last thing I got in
cool.
the chain is a SSL 4K bus compressor clone, which shouldn't need any introduction for anybody.
Yeah,
but
that's my go-to stereo bus compressor. So
yeah.
I have a plug-in, but
right, yeah. But it's nice. You can do unlike the plugins, I can do 4 to 5 peak dB of compression, and things not sound super squished. I've yet to find a plugin that can do that as transparently as this can. That could just be down to metering and ballistics, analog versus digital. Maybe it's not really doing 4 dB peak, but the meters are showing that,
Right.
That could be. So, but yeah, that's my simple chain right now. It's ever growing, ever changing.
Nice. So, speaking about like, I guess just mastering and doing your chain, like I know you've done a lot of DIY acoustic treatment. I know acoustics is like a massive part because that's how you know how everything sounds.
Correct.
So tell me, like, you've been posting pictures on Facebook recently about like you doing a whole new build out, making a whole new room for your mastering suite. Can you tell us a bit about it? Because it's super cool.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version, the condensed version.
Whatever you feel like sharing.
Yeah. Yeah, but for anyone who is super interested and wants to see all the pictures and stuff, on my website, which if you want to link the blog spot below, you can. I kind of went into more detail.
I will, yeah.
Yeah, on how the whole room was built, pictures of the process, that kind of thing. Because I knew a lot of people were kind of like really into that kind of thing. But yeah, last year I hired a buddy of mine, Matt Davis. He's an acoustician, just a wizard with acoustics, and also a mastering engineer himself. Yeah, I hit him up. I said, dude, I want to hire you to get my room sounding right. And this is when I first moved into this room. I'm like, okay, finally, I got a space that I'm not renting. I can kind of just go all at it. So before I had what most people had, 2x4 foot panels, about 4 inches deep, kind of like what you'd get from GIK or something, a similar company. And we just kind of moved them all around, put them where they sounded best and where they measured best using a free program called Room EQ Wizard, which is just a measurement program. You set up a measurement microphone, it does a sine wave sweep, and then it tells you what's happening in the room at that position. It's super nerdy, super techy. It's easy to use, but super difficult to understand. So, yeah, we did tons and tons of testing, and, I swear it sounded like I got brand new monitors that 2 years ago when we did the room for the first time. And that was the first time I had, like, really, really good acoustics. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe this. Like, I could just hear everything in the stereo imaging. My phase relationship was great. And I'm like, I thought I was doing things right before, but apparently I wasn't. Because I had never measured before, and then it's like, because there were some spots where I would put a panel, and it's like, I think it would be best here. And then when you look at it on a graph, it's like, oh no, it's actually worse there. You know, it maybe made this issue worse, or, you know, your phase response was worse putting it there. So it's like, oh, well, that's super enlightening. I never really looked at sound like that before. I just did, you know, what Gear Sluts tells you to do, and Facebook forums. You know, like, it has to be here.
Right.
Kind of like monitors, you know. I'm sure you've seen people say you have to have your monitors away from the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you actually read into it and then actually start doing testing, for a lot of people, it would be better against the wall because of speaker boundary interference response, which is SBIR. And that is...
New term for me.
Yeah. So that is, for a lot of people, it's that suck out in the sub-range where, you know, it's maybe between 70 to 100 hertz, depending on your room, where there's like a big dip there. So if someone's got like SonarWorks, for example, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a big dip there, that's why. And a lot of that can be mitigated and made worse even by where your speakers themselves are in relationship to the wall.
Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah.
I'll just tell a brief tangent. Like I did this room in December. Moved my studio, and my acoustician. I said like something that doesn't sound right. I like in the last studio, like the speakers were closer to me and further from the wall. Mm-hmm. Like, let's move it. Oh yeah, this sounds like my speakers. And he's like, yeah, but it doesn't. It's not as balanced now. He pushed them back to where they were. And he's like, yeah, this sounds great. This is supposed to be. And I'm like, oh my God, I have not been listening to the bass right the entire time I was in my old studio.
It happens.
And now my mixes translate 100 times better.
Yeah. That bass response is everything.
Yeah, so it sounds like very similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I lived with the room like that for about a year, and I did upgrade speakers in the time being. It still sounded good, but you know, we got to the point in the house where it's like, okay, we're gonna do hardwood floors because we had like 20-year-old carpet in this place, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna put them in the studio too, and then it's like, I might do a few tweaks to the studio while I'm at it. And it turned into a complete revitalization of the space and just a ridiculous amount of work that, I don't know, I worked, a lot of long days to get it all done. But all in all, it's like 450 square feet of insulation in this small room, which is...
Oh my God.
Yeah, probably crazy to most people.
That's a lot of insulation.
It is.
Oh my God. How many square feet is your room?
120. It's pretty small.
But I guess like in terms of like in a 3D, it's like times 10.
Cubic? Crap.
It's got to be more than 450, right?
Yeah, it's maybe around 900.
That's crazy. So half your room is acoustic treatment?
Yeah, if you're going to look at it that way, I guess it is in terms of square footage. Or I guess it's square footage versus cubic footage. I'm not a math guy.
I guess I don't really understand.
Somebody correct me.
There's something here that neither of us understand. There's information between the lines.
Okay, so for people playing along at home here, so there's 12 2x4 foot panels of Owens Corning 703. So I got 12 of those. There is, I think, 6 2x4 sheets of rock wool. And then the rest of that is all R30 insulation. So like the pink fluffy attic insulation, that's what most of the room is. Which is probably going to sound very weird to a lot of people because it's like, no, Gear Slut says you have to use rock wool or 703. But it turns out the deeper the trapping you go, and for better bass response, you have to use lighter material, less dense material. someone may argue with me and say, well, no, it's down to gas flow resistance. And it's like,